everyone, welcome to Practical English. Today we're going to be talking about body paragraphs. Now, body paragraphs are essentially the largest bit of your IELTS writing essay. So you really need to pay attention to make sure you're getting them right. So in this video we're going to learn how to structure them, and also we're going to talk about what you should be writing in your body paragraphs when you're writing your body paragraphs. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome to Practical English. We have lots of videos about the IELTS writing, about speaking, about listening, about all sorts of things related to learning English. So if that's interesting to you, please do hit like and subscribe down below. When we're structuring our body paragraphs, there are essentially two parts to it. The first one is the topic sentence, and then after that we have 3 or 4 supporting sentences. So let's talk about each of those. The topic sentence is a sentence that introduces the topic of the paragraph. That's how it gets its name. So this might sound a little bit repetitive. You're kind of saying what you're going to say and then you're saying the thing. But actually that's good for IELTS writing because it makes your ideas very, very clear. Now, a topic sentence doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to use this one to show off all of your grammar and all of those things. All you really need to do is have a nice simple sentence for this one that can clearly express your idea, and maybe have some more complex sentences later on. So we're going to continue our example from the last video I did, which was all about the introduction. So the topic is people are increasingly abandoning public transport to travel to work by car. Do the advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? So we're going to write a body paragraph. Now, when we wrote the introduction in this last class, we already said our 2 main points are going to be about traffic congestion and air pollution. So it's really important to stick to what you said you're going to write about in your introduction when you're writing your topic sentences. So for the first of those, we might write something like, first, more people are driving to work, which causes increased traffic congestion. That's nice and simple, and it tells you what the rest of the paragraph is going to be about. So that's perfect for a topic sentence. Okay, so now that we've introduced what the whole paragraph is going to be about, we actually need to fill that out. And so I'm going to tell you what you should put in these sentences in a minute, but first let's just talk a bit more generally. So you should write 3 to 4 supporting sentences. Now, students often ask me, what if I have more time? What if I have time to write 5 or 6 sentences? Now, if you find that you have extra time when you're doing your IELTS writing, I always recommend you spend that time writing more complex sentences instead of writing more sentences, because more simple sentences won't help you get the score you need to get. The other just kind of general point about these sentences is they all need to be linked to the topic sentence. It's very easy to kind of drift off track as you're writing this part of the essay. So always make sure that you're writing supporting sentences that are actually linked to the topic sentence. What should we be writing when we're writing these? Well, I always recommend to have a mix of explanations, arguments, and examples when you're writing these. So an explanation essentially just explains what your key term means. In our example, we're talking about traffic congestion. So we can write something like, traffic congestion is when there are too many cars on the road causing traffic jams and delays. So we're just explaining what that key term means. The next thing you could be doing in these supporting sentences is giving an argument, and that's just giving a reason for something. So you might write something along the lines of, many cities were designed before people drove cars, and as a result they don't have enough road capacity for everyone to commute to work by car. So the last thing you can be doing is giving an example. And so this is very simple. You start off with for example, and then you just write whatever your example is going to be. So in our sample essay, we're talking about traffic congestion. So an example might be something along the lines of, for example, cities like London have had to introduce congestion charging because the traffic congestion has gotten so bad there. And that's just giving an example of bad traffic congestion. When you're thinking of examples, don't pick something that's just a made-up statistic. I know a lot of students like to make up statistics, but it always sounds a little bit fake. I don't think it's very convincing to examiners. The other thing to avoid is examples that are too personal. So don't say something like, for example, I have to drive for an hour to get to school, it's always better to kind of speak a bit more generally than give too personal an example. Okay, so let's have a look at how that body paragraph looks put all together. And what we can see here is that yes, we've done a really good job with this. It has a nice strong topic sentence, and all of the supporting sentences are very closely linked to that topic sentence. So this is probably a good example of a body paragraph that you can copy when you're writing your own IELTS essays. So thanks very much for watching. Do remember to hit subscribe, hit the bell below so you can find our next video, which is going to be about writing the conclusion.